Hello students, my name is Barbara Carrillo and I am an instructor of the Certified Holistic Nutritionist program here at the American University of Integrative Medicine. In this lecture, we will talk about micronutrients. In the previous lecture, we discussed about macronutrients and the difference between these two. Macronutrients are needed in large quantities for our bodies, whereas micronutrients are needed in much smaller amounts. However, micronutrients are even more important for our bodies. As an example, it is possible to survive for some days without fat, protein, or carbohydrates, but not without micronutrients like minerals, vitamins, and water. The reason why is that every single process in our bodies requires different vitamins and minerals to function properly. As a housekeeping reminder, we have the discussion activities. You will need to make 3 posts in this activity, one that is due Wednesday at midnight, and also reply to 2 classmates. There will be a quiz that will be covering the content that we are discussing today, and it is due on Sunday at midnight. The learning objectives of this lecture are 1. Knowing the structure, function, and source of the micronutrients. 2. Identify healthy micronutrients for optimum diet. That is, to know which micronutrients will help and benefit different areas in your body. 3. Get the strategies to combat malnutrition from micronutrients deficiencies. That is, knowing what deficiency signs are related to the lack of a specific nutrient. And 4. Measuring nutritional status and consultation of malnutrition related with health problems. In this slide, we have scientific origins of food groups. Food is nutrient-dense, low-toxin, and anti-inflammatory, and a nutrient is any substance in food that the body can use to obtain energy, synthesize tissues, or regulate body processes. Nutrients can also be divided into 2, essential nutrients and non-essential nutrients. An essential nutrient is a substance that must be obtained in the diet because the body either cannot make it or cannot make adequate amounts of it. A non-essential nutrient is one that the body can make sufficient quantities of if it is lacking in the diet. So here we have macronutrients, micronutrients, and water. As we said previously, macronutrients are going to be composed of carbohydrates, like the best options that we have, which are complex carbohydrates, which the body can process down slowly. Proteins, we have some options like legumes, beans, and peas. And fat, we also know that some of the best ones are coconut oil, olive oil, and salmon. Macronutrients divided between vitamins and minerals, and of course, a correct diet will also have a proper hydration, including adequate amounts of water. We know that the macronutrients can be divided between vitamins, minerals, and water. Vitamins like vitamin A, B, C, D, E, and K, and minerals like calcium, iron, and sodium. There are also other substances in micronutrient-containing food that influence health. This can be fiber and phytochemicals. We will be talking about more about these vitamins and minerals in later slides. Then the question becomes, what should we eat? We all know that a proper nutrient-dense diet should have a good balance of carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. At this point, you should treat food as your medicine, knowing that to have a proper health, you should pick the best foods that will maintain a good balance in your body. Some good examples of complex carbohydrates are rice, barley, quinoa, and sweet potato. However, you should pay attention if you're insulin resistant or have any diabetes problems, because even though these are good carbohydrates, they can still increase the blood sugar levels. For protein, we have some good plant-based options like beans, lentils, and legumes, also wild-caught seafood. And for fat, we have avocado, seeds, nuts, coconut oil, among others. Macronutrients are essential and inorganic. They are required in small amounts that are measured in milligrams and micrograms. Macronutrients can be divided into vitamins, which they can also be broken down between water-soluble, which includes vitamin C, the vitamin Bs, P, and H as biotin, and fat-soluble like vitamin A, D, E, F, and K. Minerals can also be categorized as microminerals, which are the major elements that we need the most, and microminerals, which are trace elements that we need very little of. As we already said before, the difference between vitamins and minerals is that vitamins are organic and minerals are inorganic. Also, the body's ability to use minerals is dependent upon their bioavailability. Vitamins come mostly from plants like nuts, fruits, and vegetables. And unlike vitamins, many minerals are found in the body as well as in the food. Why do we need vitamins and minerals? Well, they perform a variety of functions and can help to maintain processes in the body. They regulate enzyme activity, they maintain acid-base balance, they can assist with bone strength and cellular growth, they play a vital role in producing blood cells, we can mention iron for this, they help with the mineralization of the bones, we can mention calcium, they help with the contraction of muscles, we can also mention calcium for this, they help with hydrating the body, we can mention sodium and potassium, they can help with the components of enzymes in metabolisms, we can mention vitamin Bs for this, and they also help with the production of hormones. This will be attributed to vitamin D from cholesterol. In this slide, we have a small chart of major minerals and trace minerals and how much do we need to take from them daily. As you can see, the major element will be calcium, and of course, these measurements are in milligrams. So for calcium, we need around 1200 milligrams daily. This is followed by phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chloride, and magnesium. Also, you can notice how very little we need of trace minerals like iron, manganese, copper, and iodine. But remember that we need as many as 20 minerals, and this chart is only highlighting a few. However, it is very important for you to have an idea of how much you should be consuming of these minerals to prevent any health-related issues. The macrominerals are considered the most essential. They include calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, and magnesium. We will be talking more about these minerals in the following slides. Calcium is an important mineral needed by the body. It is essential for a variety of major functions in the body, and this can include our bone and teeth strength. It helps with the normal function of the muscles, blood clotting, and helps with the nervous system. Its absorption is facilitated by vitamin D. So as you can see here, there's a wide variety of calcium-containing foods. However, there are studies that indicate that 70% of Americans are calcium deficient. For this reason, it is very important not to take only one type of food for calcium. The best way that we can nurture our bodies is from consuming different sources of nutrients because each one will give you a different type of the same mineral. Good sources for calcium are broccoli, spinach, cabbage, organic dairy products, organic eggs, nuts, and beans. The requirement for adults is 1000 milligrams per day, but women need much more than men because of certain processes and hormonal balances. The deficiencies of calcium can include weaknesses, weak bones, lack of appetite, and osteomalacia in adults. In this little chart, you have depicted how much calcium the body absorbs from different foods. So a low absorption food can be spinach, beet greens, Swiss chard. A fair can be legumes and soy milk. A moderate absorption food can be dairy products, milk, cheese, and yogurt. And a high absorption food can include broccoli, kale, Chinese greens, turnip, and mustard greens. For this reason, it is very good that you vary your food sources when it comes to calcium and also other minerals. Phosphorus is essential for the formation of bones, teeth, and body fluids. It is required for metabolism, cell respiration, nutrient absorption, and normal reproduction. The requirement for adults can go around 700 milligrams per day. The deficiency signs are similar to calcium deficiencies. You can have lack of appetite, poor reproduction, and unhappy appearance. Some of the good sources for calcium are grains, organic eggs, the calcium phosphate, bone meal or bone broth, which is also very good for the body, and fish. However, it is important that when you're choosing your fish, choose one that is wild caught, because this one is the one that will contain all of the nutrients that you're looking for. Whereas farm-raised fish doesn't have that many nutrients and also can have things that we don't want in our bodies, like steroids. The mineral potassium can help with the retention and formation of body fluids, pH concentration in the body, controlling heartbeat, nervous system, kidney function, and digestion. The requirements of these minerals are around 4,700 milligrams per day for adults. So it is very important for you to notice how much do you need of each mineral daily to prevent any disease that can be related with deficiencies. So as you can see, some of the deficiency signs for potassium are adrenal fatigue, anxiety, hypertension, diabetes, and muscle cramping. Some of the good sources of potassium include almost all of the vegetables, grains, fruits, and lean meat. Magnesium is another very important mineral that our body needs for many processes, including regulating muscle, nerve function, blood sugar levels, and blood pressure. Magnesium is directly related to diabetes, as you can see. So if you have a deficiency of the mineral that regulates blood sugar levels, you can have more chances of suffering from diabetes or insulin resistance. The requirements for adults are around 420 milligrams per day, and some of the good sources of magnesium are nuts, green vegetables, whole grains, and mineral supplements. However, it is important to mention that supplementation of certain minerals and vitamins are okay in certain instances when you don't have access to it or you need them to enhance your body's well-being. In any case, the best option will always be taking it from natural food sources. The mineral sodium can help to keep the right balances of fluids in the body, regulating body water and balancing electrolytes. The kidneys are the ones that regulate sodium in your body. So if you have so much of this mineral that the body cannot get rid of, the sodium can build in your blood, causing the risk of strokes and coronary heart disease. As you all know, processed foods have an immense amount of sodium that can surpass our daily needs in only one meal. Because of this, it is important to always regulate your processed food consumption to avoid any problems that high doses of sodium can carry. As we said previously, the microminerals are those minerals that we need very little quantity of. This includes iodine, copper, selenium, manganese, molybdenum, and zinc. We will be talking more about this in the following slides. Iron is a constituent of enzyme production of hemoglobin for red blood cells. As we all know, hemoglobin transports oxygen around the body, so this is how important this mineral is for the body. Also helps to remove waste substances from the body. The requirement for adults is around 10 to 15 milligrams per day, but girls and women need more iron than boys. Some of the deficiency signs of this mineral are fatigues, breathing problems, and hormonal imbalances. A couple of the best sources of this mineral are leafy vegetables, legumes, organic eggs, liver, and dried fruits. So as you can see on this slide, there's a wide variety of foods that include iron and zinc that you can use to prepare your everyday meals. This includes legumes like lentils, black beans, lima beans, whole grains like quinoa, spelt and fortified grains, seeds and nuts like cashews, almonds, Brazil nuts, fruits like avocado, vegetables like mushrooms, string beans, and green leafy vegetables. So, of course, you can prepare a lot of meals that will include plenty of iron and zinc for your diet. One of the most common types of anemia is the iron deficiency anemia. However, there are other deficiencies that are related to anemia, which are the vitamin B12 deficiency, folate deficiency, and also vitamin C deficiency. So as you can see here, some of the effects of this disease are on adults, a reduced work capacity, a reduced mental capacity, poor pregnancy outcomes, and reduced immune competence. For infants and children, some of the effects are reduced cognitive development, reduced immune competence, and also reduced work capacity. So these are a couple of the reasons why you always kind of keep in check your mineral requirements. In this slide, we talk about some strategies to prevent and control anemia. So as a first strategy, you can promote vitamin C rich foods with meals such as green leafy colorful vegetables. Also promote iron, folic acid, and B12 rich foods. Provide iron and folic acid supplements to infants and pregnant and lactating women. Also discourage drinking coffee or tea with meals. Another trace mineral that we need to discuss is iodine. One of its functions is the formation of thyroxine. You can find it in vegetables, seafood, cabbage, turnip, and hard water. Also, a good strategy to consume iodine is to get your sea salt or pink salt already iodized. So this will mean that it already contains iodine. Some of the deficiency signs are goiter, hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, and cretinism. Manganese is another type of trace mineral. Among its functions, we have milk production, hormone production, and skeleton development. The requirement for adults is around 2.3 milligrams per day, and some of the deficiency signs include abortions, low fertility, and slow or impaired growth. A couple of the best sources of manganese are nuts, whole grains, vegetables, and fruits. So as you can see up until this point, vitamins are non-caloric micronutrients essential for normal physiological function. They are directly related to many processes and functions in the body, so that's why it is very important to always consume a wide variety of fruits, foods, and vegetables, grains, proteins, and fats that can include a lot of these vitamins. There are 13 essential vitamins, and they must be consumed as part of your food intake. However, there are some cases where you will need some form of supplementation, like with vitamin K, B12, biotin, vitamin D, and this is especially if you're vegan or following a strict plant-based diet. In here, we have a much more clear description of water-soluble vitamins and fat-soluble vitamins. So remember, the water-soluble are the ones that are not going to be stored in the body, and any excess consumption will be excreted through urine. The fat-soluble ones will be stored in the liver and fat tissue for long periods of time. They can also be found in fat or oily parts of foods. So as a recap of each vitamin, we have vitamin C and E, which can function as antioxidants. Vitamin C is also essential in the formation of collagen and connective tissue. Vitamin C is found in fruits and vegetables, with citrus fruits being one of the best sources of this vitamin. Most B vitamins work as coenzymes, meaning that they assist the enzyme in its job, or get the enzyme working faster, in metabolic reactions including the Krebs cycle, electron transport, glycogen breakdown, red blood cell formation, hormone synthesis, and nucleic acid synthesis. B vitamins are fairly widespread in the diet and can be found in whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and legumes. Vitamin B12 acts in DNA and amino acid metabolism. Cobalamin is found in animal foods like meat, poultry, and fish, also fortified cereals, and is also synthesized by gut bacteria. Vitamin A is important for gene transcription, visual functioning, in the production of rhodopsin, immune function, and epithelial tissue development. Food sources of vitamin A include liver, egg yolks, and fortified dairy. Vitamin D is required for calcium metabolism, insulin secretion, immune function, and blood pressure regulation. Food sources of vitamin D are rather limited, but vitamin D is found in egg yolks and fortified dairy as well. Vitamin K is needed for blood clotting, bone mineralization, and cellular growth. Vitamin K is synthesized by gut bacteria and can be consumed in the diet by eating dark green leafy vegetables like kale, broccoli, and collard greens. As we said previously, water-soluble vitamins are not stored, so these deficiencies appear more quickly than those associated with fat-soluble vitamins. Fat-soluble vitamin deficiencies may take months or years to appear, whereas water-soluble vitamins deficiencies can only take a few weeks to appear. Now we can talk about fat-soluble vitamins in much more detail. These include vitamin A, D, E, F, and K. So as we said previously, these are vitamins that are going to be stored in the liver and fat tissue for long periods of time. They can be found in fat or oily parts of foods. The deficiencies will develop very slowly in the body. Vitamin A is important for eyesight, especially night vision. It can work with building immune system and regulating normal bone growth. It helps with the functioning of the skin, hair, body linings, the lungs. It maintains integrity and function of epithelial cells. And as we all know, epithelial cells are cells that line the inner and outer surfaces of the body in continuous sheets. It works as anti-infective, antioxidant, and it supports the immune system. The requirements for adults are around 800 micrograms per day, and some of the best sources of this vitamin are sweet potatoes, dark green leafy vegetables, yellow and orange colored fruits, liver, cheese, and butter. Some of the deficiency signs include sight problems like night blindness, dry eye, childhood blindness, poor functioning of lungs and digestive tract, and the increased risk of infections. There's also a toxicity component associated with this vitamin because very high amounts can cause poisoning and high doses are associated with birth defects. Vitamin D is called the sunshine vitamin and it is actually one of the most important for our overall health. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. It can be synthesized in the skin from a provitamin and sunlight. A couple of its functions include that it's needed for absorption of calcium and phosphorus. It supports the immune system and digestion. It keeps the bone and teeth healthy. It can help with the proper heart function, the nervous system, and kidney function. The requirement for adults are around 5 micrograms per day. A couple of the best sources of this vitamin are organic eggs, animal fats, yeast, milk, yogurts, butter, lean meat, and oily fish. Some of the deficiency signs are osteomalacia in adults that causes muscular weakness and bone joint pain, rickets in children, and this vitamin also has a toxic component because this is caused by overconsumption of vitamin supplements. As we all know, we can get vitamin D from direct sun exposure. When your skin is exposed to sunlight, it makes vitamin D from cholesterol. The sun's ultraviolet UV rays heat cholesterol in the skin, providing the energy for vitamin D synthesis to occur. The best time to get sun exposure is during midday. At noon, the sun is at its highest, making the UV rays more intense, which means that you will need less exposure during this time. However, remember that too much sun exposure without any protection can cause damage to the skin cells. In this slide, you can see a small graph of vitamin D synthesis. Vitamin D has traditionally been thought of as essential for calcium absorption in the small intestine, but new research has demonstrated a plethora of roles outside of bone health, as we can see in this graphic. So notice on this slide that if you live very far north or far south, where the weather can be less sunny, it is important to take a vitamin D3 supplementation to compensate for the lack of sun exposure. At the same time, because vitamin D3 are mostly found in animal products, whereas vitamin D2 can be found in plant sources, it is important to supplement vitamin D3 if you're having a strict plant-based diet or a vegan diet. The most widely accepted biological function of vitamin E is the antioxidant properties that it has. It protects blood cell, tissue, and essential fatty acids. The requirement for adults are around 15 micrograms per day. Some of the best sources of this vitamin are in many animal and plant foods, like vegetables, seed oils including soybean, corn, sunflower seeds, nuts, and grains. Also, you can find vitamin E in many leafy vegetables. For a woman's body, vitamin F is needed throughout life and especially during the planning of pregnancy and gestation of the baby. Vitamin F must be stored in the refrigerator only as it collapses under the influence of heat, light, and oxygen, so instead of a useful vitamin, you can get a toxic poison. A couple of the best sources of this vitamin include carrot oil, seafood, mainly fatty fish, vegetable oils, fruits, berries, nuts, and seeds. The lack of vitamin F in the human body leads to serious cardiovascular diseases like heart attack and strokes. Vitamin K has two main forms, K1 which is found in plant foods and K2 which can be found in animal and fermented foods. This vitamin can help with the formation of new cells of bone tissue and blood clotting. It can be beneficial for the absorption of calcium and it reduces the risk of cardiovascular diseases. The requirements for adults are around 120 micrograms per day. Some of the best sources of this vitamin are cooked dark green vegetables such as spinach, kale, cabbage, also cucumbers, green peas, bananas, kiwi, avocados, and organic eggs. Some of the deficiency signs are disruption of blood clotting, calcification of the artery, and this can in turn lead to its rupture. If calcification of small vessels occurs, hypertension may occur. Also, alcohol and smoking may interfere with the absorption of this vitamin. From previous discussion, we all know that water-soluble vitamins are not going to be stored in the body, and any excess consumption is going to be excreted through urine. Also, take notice that these vitamins can be lost during food preparation and food cooking. Some of the deficiencies may develop quickly if inadequate intake occurs. Remember that the water-soluble vitamins include B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin P, and vitamin H as biotin. In here we have what we call B-complex vitamins. B vitamins are the most important for our body. They should be consumed every day, and there are many different and each has a specific function in the body. Although there is a lot of vitamin B in foods, it is very easily washed out of the body, especially when consuming alcohol, nicotine, caffeine, and sugar. So, it is very important to replenish your supplies of this vitamin every day. These vitamins also share functions and they often work together. B vitamins are needed for the production and release of energy from food, overall health and maintenance of the normal functioning of all body systems, are essential for metabolic and cellular functions. They increase folate and cell division. They protect from drugs, trauma, cancer, kidney or liver disease. Once again, some of the food sources are many animal plant foods like animal organs, meat, bananas, nuts, potatoes, dark green vegetables, dairy products, legumes, among others. In here, we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about vitamin B12. As we know, it is a fat-soluble vitamin, so it's going to be stored in the liver, and it is only found in animal foods like liver, meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. Its role is in the metabolism of some fatty acids and folates. Some of the deficiency signs are anemia, damage to nerves, and also dementia, Alzheimer, and cardiovascular problems. In here you have some more characteristics of vitamin B12, like RBC maturation, myelination of nerve cells, as we already discussed, fatty acid and amino acid metabolism. This vitamin can also be present in fermented foods, but in very small quantities. And once again, if you're vegan or following a strict plant-based diet, you should supplement vitamin B12 to avoid deficiency problems like anemia, fatigue, and dementia. Vitamin C, also known as ascorbic acid, is a water-soluble and leaf-stable vitamin. It is needed for the normal structure and function of body tissues. It enhances iron absorption, collagen synthesis, it supports hormone function, releases energy from fatty acids, antioxidants, it supports the immune system, liver detoxification, and relieve cold symptoms. The requirement for adults are around 90 micrograms per day. Some sources of vitamin C include fresh fruits, citrus fruits, berries, green vegetables, peppers, and tomatoes. Some of the deficiency signs are associated with cancer, heart disease, cataracts, and bleeding gums. Now we can talk about water. Water comprises approximately 50 to 70% of the human body. So now you see why it's so important to be hydrated, because we are mostly water. Water volume is influenced by food and drink intake, sweat, urine and feces excretion, metabolic production of small amount of water, and respiratory loss of water. Dehydration leads to heat disease, indigestion, and many other health problems. So water can carry nutrients to your cells and carries waste from your body. It can regulate body temperature, lubricate joints. It dissolves vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and other nutrients, and can do organs detox, like it can get rid of body waste through urination, perspiration, and it also plays an important role in protecting vital organs, nutrient absorption, bowel movements, and in providing a medium for biomechanical reactions. In here you have a graphic of some more characteristics of water, like it helps production of oxygen for breathing, it helps transform nutrients into energy, it protects and hydrates the organs, it represents 22% of the bones, it eliminates toxins, and it regulates body temperature. So this is why it's very important to be conscious of your water intake. Here are some foods with a high content of water. You can consume this to increase your daily intake. These are cucumbers, broccoli, and tomatoes. Also carrots, lettuce, and spinach. We don't talk about an upper limit of your consumption of water, but nothing in excess is good, so too much water can also lead to water intoxication. Also here we have some guidelines of how much water you should be taking per day. So women need at least 2.7 liters and men at least 3.7 liters. Here we have 5 keys that the World Health Organizations give to a healthy diet. One is to give a baby only breast milk for the first 6 months of life. 2 is to eat a variety of foods because as greater the variety of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds that you consume, the greater the amount of nutrients that you will be supplying to your body. 3. Eat plenty of vegetables and fruits. 4. Eat moderate amounts of fat and oils. And 5. Eat less salt, sugar, and processed foods. If your body is not receiving a proper nutrition, there are also physical signs that can be related to certain mineral and vitamin deficiencies. It is important to realize that many malnutrition signs can be present at various stages and forms. So this can show up in nails, in reduced cardiac output, impaired wound healing, and depressed immune function. A visual assessment of the body can provide a quick insight into nutrition status. When looking at the right areas of the body, the healthcare provider can quickly see how different signs are related to different deficiencies. For example, pale lips can mean iron deficiency, colorless or brave face can mean vitamin B12 deficiency, and a dry scalp and brittle hair can mean vitamin B7 deficiency. So it is important to know that processed foods deplete micronutrients. So knowing this, you can be very conscious of how much of these foods you are consuming, concluding that this can be dangerous for your overall health. Some examples of this are processed carbs like bread, cereal, cookies, frozen, packaged, and canned foods, and bottled soft drinks and energy drinks, which can also have a high content of sugar and sodium. With all of the information that we have gotten from today's lecture, it is important to pick the right path when it comes to nutrition. You can make a self-assessment and ask yourself, what is the number one priority in your life? Is it health and being healthy, or is it keeping up with a bad habit? Remember that nutrition is a priority no matter your status and place in life, because food is the fuel and energy of the body. So if we want to be successful, we need to nurture our bodies with nutritious food that will allow us to be healthy and ready to perform any activity that we desire. Also knowing that food is medicine, so it will help us to heal and keep diseases and health-related problems away. As a summary for today's lecture, remember, we need enough micronutrients to grow, develop, and function properly. It is very important to eat a whole food plant-based diet to prevent and heal diseases. Food sources are always better than supplement sources for nutrient deficiencies, and always let food maintain the amount of minerals and vitamins we need unless someone has major health issues or major health related problems that need further supplementation.